The war in Ukraine may be 2,000 miles away from Liz Fleeton's house just north of Belfast, but she's fighting its knock-on effects and is having to cut back on her most basic of needs.
And it's like, what do? You can't afford to heat the place, you can't afford to eat. I don't want to have to go to a food bank, but it's looking like I'm going to be one of these people that's going to a food bank, because it's either have lunch, breakfast or dinner. Which do you choose? Do you choose heating? Do you choose food?
Like 2/3 of homes in Northern Ireland, Liz relies on heating oil, and the price has soared in the 14 days since Russia invaded Ukraine.
So how much have you got in at the moment?
Probably about 80 litres.
How long's that going to last you, do you think?
If you use it about an hour a day, probably about 3 weeks, hopefully.
Northern Ireland has the highest percentage rate of oil heating in Western Europe. Rural areas not on the gas network are particularly hard hit.
Good morning, Consumer Council. Rebecca speaking.
At the Consumer Council, they've seen an increase in calls from people upset they can't pay their bills. At the beginning of last year, the price of a litre of heating oil in Northern Ireland was 32 pence per litre. By 2 weeks ago, it was selling at double that, at 61 pence. And by yesterday, it had doubled again, skyrocketing to 120.5 pence per litre.
Thankfully, there's been some government support announced in the last few weeks. People on benefits will be getting £200 towards their electricity and gas bills. But to be honest, the scale of the problem is now looking like we could do with wider support to a wider group of people.
The rise in living costs means for many times were already tough. Daniel manages a debt support centre and helps at the local food bank.
We're seeing that, for the clients I'm working with who are trying to get out of debt, they're seeing that their budgets no longer add up, because those basic costs that are necessities for everybody are now costing more. So that's putting them into a real pinch and making them struggle more. And we're seeing that more people who haven't needed the food bank in the past now are needing the food bank. So it's new faces that we're seeing in through the food bank doors.
Daniel says many in the community are trying to help the people of Ukraine, but says for some it's hard to be generous when you have not much to give. Emily Wither, 5 News, Belfast.